We have a quorum as the appointed time. As Dr. Lau Siu-lai has been disqualified as a member, so the subcommittee has to re-elect its chairman to so that we can take forward our meetings. So, any nomination? Dr. Fernando Zhang. I nominate Dr. Kwok Ka-ki. Seconder? Kenneth Leung. I accept the nomination. And since I'm a nominee, I have to step down as the one conducting the meeting, so I'll now ask the most senior member, Mr. Leung Yu-chong, to chair the meeting. Good morning. There is one nominee. Any other nomination? Well, I'll count 3. If there is no further nomination after I've counted 3, then that's it. 1, 2, 3. No further nomination? Dr. Kwok Ka-ki is nominated uncontested as the chairman of the subcommittee. Congratulations. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Mr. Leung, for chairing the election. Do we need to elect a vice chairman going forward? Well, let me give you an idea of the meetings that we're going to have. In the meeting of the House Committee on July, this subcommittee should have completed all its meetings by the 5th of December. And before the 5th of December, we must vacate the slot to other subcommittees on the waiting list. So my guess is by October and November, we'll do as much as we can. We won't hold too many meetings. So do you think there's a need to elect a vice chairman? No, no need. So in that case, let's move on to the agenda proper. The item is rather straightforward, and that is on the way forward of the subcommittee. We have had the summer recess, and the government may come up with new policies. Now, just last night, the Food and Health Bureau, the Undersecretary Choi Tak-yi, has given us a new paper. Earlier on, there is an English letter, and he's now submitting a Chinese one. And what he's saying in the main is that he doesn't want to attend the meeting today because according to his what he understands, there will be new policy of the government. So he wants that they will come only after the new policy address has been delivered on the 11th of October. So please take note of that. There is nothing much we can do. He chose not to be here. Second, Mr. Jeremy Tam has submitted a letter, and he suggested that we should hold extra meeting in October because by the end of this year, or the Lunar New Year, the government, in fact, has made certain promises last year, and that they said that by the end of the lunar year, they will come up with facilitation measures to help Bazaars to be held. And the HA and the HD have issued new papers, you may notice. And that is to facilitate bazaars to be held in public housing estates. So can I to hand over the time to Mr. Tam to say something more? Mr. Tam? There will be new applications for bazaars to be held, especially for those to be held over the Lunar New Year, and that takes time but several months are needed. And I recall last year there are a lot of views have been expressed. Some of them are criticisms, in fact. And now, what are we going to do? If we don't discuss this matter, then maybe it's too late to discuss them. And they said that it will be too late to make certain amendments to the regulations. And the applicants this year will bump into the same problems they experienced last year. So I don't want to lose any more time because the subcommittee will not be extending in terms of its meeting time. So if applicants want to hold bazaars during the Lunar New Year, can something be done to help them? Say, for example, can the FHD, FSD, after they have heard our views, will they be making any changes after? So I would like to hear from them. Ms. Claudie Mo. Just now, actually, we know that some representatives from the bazaar organizers were downstairs protesting against the government policy. Carrie Lam has promised that there will be a bazaar in each year. But then the Undersecretary, Dr. Choi, chose not to be here. So can we have certain expectations of the policy address? But if you listen to what the bazaar representatives have to say, they said that for land size under HD and LCSD, a lot of problems have been encountered. We have discussed at length this matter, but it's all empty talk. No action has been undertaken. Can we have an interdepartmental authority to be dedicated to this task of vetting the applications? We counted last time. Some 10 departments have been involved. HAD, Lands Department, FEHD, FSD, etc. So it is. I mean, the application time is really too long, and this is a very important issue. The government may say that the HA has announced or has released the new application form, and that is charitable organizations can apply for bazaars to be held at size under them. Now, the bazaar organizers, are they considered charitable organizations? And also the procedures look very ambiguous, and it's really up to the HA or HD to decide whether to approve the application. So I'm asking Dr. Choi to come here. First, just don't tell people to wait and wait. Well, the Dr. Choi should come back in the first instance after the new policy has been announced. Well, our tenure is up to December, so don't let them stall the matter. And also a bazaar representative or hawker representative he is operating in the Mongkok pedestrian present, and he is selling this kind of candies, and he's been arrested. He's been arrested time and again, but for those who are come from the mainland to operate similar business, they're not arrested. Well, there is a news article saying that the policeman was telling a hawker that you are not a local, so you can't operate here. Well, the hawker policy is very ambiguous in Hong Kong. We must press the government to come up with a clear bazaar and hawker policy before December. Next, we have Dr. Fernando Zhang. I wonder whether we will have produce a report before the end of the tenure of this subcommittee. I think the report is crucial. I hope that it can capture the work that we've done in the past year, and also we should put forth important recommendations and also views of the community bodies. And we should also list the consensus reached among the members in this subcommittee. We should spell out clearly the way forward that we're proposing, so that the public will know exactly what we are recommending, and the government can also respond to our recommendations. And the report should be submitted to the full council for a debate. Dr. Zhang, I agree with your view. We would apply for a time slot at the House Committee to discuss this report. I believe the clerk will follow up duly. Next, Dr. N. Zhang. Chairman, we will have 2 or 3 more meetings for this subcommittee, and we should cherish such meetings. And we don't want to, just let things hanging in the air after the subcommittee has ended its work. Can we set up a bazaar development consultative framework? Can you talk to the secretary? There should be a dedicated personnel responsible for this. And this consultative body can also comprise members from other government departments, because bazaar development involves coordination among different government departments. Please suggest this to the secretary. And on this point should also be included in the subcommittee's final report, well, if members are agreeable to the idea, and we strongly urge the government should do this. Now, for this consultative framework, you know that we were talking about different bazaars being held in different districts. In fact, I visited some of these, especially during the Lunar New Year, and I found that the bazaars are mainly comprise food stalls. They're not diversified enough. If we talk about bazaar policy, let's come up with ideas on more popular operations, and that can also do good to Hong Kong tourism industry. In Melbourne, for one day in every week, there are bazaars with young people start up businesses. Offering, doing business. And Dr. Choi Tak-yi, the Undersecretary, said that they would, consider the young person's perspective, and they would organize weekends mini bazaars. I think the idea is good, but what about the scale? If you are just considering a bazaar with just 20 or 30 stores, and that won't be good enough. Can we take a more comprehensive approach? We might not do it in every district, but we want the scale to be large and do the best job. So we hope that the consultative framework can do something on that in that regard and come up with appropriate policies for bazaar development. Next, Mr. Chiu Ka-chun. Thank you, Chairman. First, I would like to respond to Dr. Choi's letter. He said that he won't attend. I really find that problematic. Now, before 11th of October, he won't attend meetings. Well, that would be a very bad precedent, because different panels will hold meetings before the 11th of October. The welfare panel, services panel, will hold 2 meetings before that date. Now, if they said that they will just wait for everything to be discussed after the 11th of October, after the policy address has been delivered, then that means for meetings before that date, no government official will be attending, and that's problematic. I hope that this is just some individual individual officers thinking. Well, if that is not the case, I hope that you can follow up on that with the CS. Now, I would like to thank the former LegCo, Dr. Lau Siu-lai, for her leadership in this subcommittee, and we've achieved certain progress in the bazaar policy. Well, the progress may be very slow, and there are so many problems yet to be ironed out, but I would like to add, for the Lunar New Year bazaars and also the food bazaars, I think it's time that we should hold public hearings to discuss how to improve on the situation. We look forward to food bazaars and also Lunar New Year bazaars. But then for food bazaars in the past, reheating is allowed no naked flame cooking is allowed, and a lot of organizations have conveyed to me that that should not be the case.
Last year, we asked whether there would be duty visits by this subcommittee. Dr. N. Chang talked about Melbourne, and I think this is a good idea. We might not necessarily be visiting Taiwan, and Melbourne is an interesting option we can consider. I understand that time is limited, but I hope the chairman can consider that. Thank you. Next, Mr. Roy Kwong. Thank you. I'm certainly unhappy at Dr. Choi's 2-page letter. Apparently, the policy address would override everything. Why can't we have a discussion before the policy address is announced? This letter led to more doubts. Are they trying to set a precedent? A lot of NGOs are willing to offer their views on fire safety, licensing, etc. Bazaars are a very new idea. Now you just gave us a 2-page letter, and you are not respecting the subcommittee at all. Bazaar policy is certainly a challenge for Hong Kong. That's why we need to discuss it with the government. All of us want to do something, and we want to create unique bazaars for our communities. You said, you talked about setting up weekend bazaars for young people. This is important, but at the same time, we should think about cooked food or light foods. What we need to cover is beyond the 1 page. And there's a need to hold open hearings as well. Hopefully the chairman can take the lead in facilitating discussions. Mr. Leung Yiu-chung. Thank you. Dr. Choi is not here today. That's why we have lost an opportunity to talk. Time is very limited, so I expect that we need to meet at least 3 or 4 times. We need an open hearing. Well, Dr. Choi talked about a potential new bazaar policy in the upcoming policy address, and they need to take in views from the public or NGOs. Bazaars might be held in Lunar New Year as well as Christmas. I'm sure some groups would like to hold bazaars during Christmas, so we should have 2 open hearings at least. And in terms of policy discussion, we need a discussion among ourselves as well. So I anticipate at least 4 meetings. Are we able to meet 4 times in the next 2 months? So we are leaning on your leadership, Chairman. We regret the absence of Dr. Choi today. For the next meeting, the government must submit 2 papers. One for the overall bazaar policy, and number 2, as Ms. Claudia Mo suggested, what is the policy on hawkers or sellers? We must retain traditional culture instead of barring certain people from selling based on territory or district. Finally, I think we should come up with a schedule of upcoming meetings, preferably today. Mr. Wang Ting-Kwang. Thank you. I do support Bazaars. In terms of promoting local and overall economy as well as employment, Bazaars are beneficial. In the mainland, a lot of towns would organize bazaars on specific days, and they certainly help boost the economy. However, we must pay attention to our fire safety, environment, hygiene, etc. These are areas we must pay attention to. We cannot simply say that we want bazaars without thinking about the application conditions as well as monitoring. Bazaars are a long-term issue we must consider. Should the government set up a dedicated department to take care of bazaar issues, just like the former municipal council? That would be conducive to promoting our economy on the long run. The subcommittee will lapse on the 6th of December, so before then we should try to get the work done. For regular issues, they should be handled by the relevant panel. We must respect the role of the relevant panels, and we cannot replace their roles. Chairman, we should get our work done by the 6th of December, and after that we should delegate to the panel. I agree that we should finish our discussions and open hearings by the 5th of December. In theory, a report should be filed by the 5th of December, but that is not a compulsory requirement, and we can leave it after that date. I also agree with Dr. Fernando Chang. We have spent a lot of time on this, and the government has also come up with a new policy. So when the report is filed to the House Committee, I will request a time slot at a council meeting to talk about the report. I will first draw up the agenda, and the Secretariat will arrange 2 open hearings. And Dr. Chang offered a number of suggestions, including what to include in the final report. So by the before the 5th of December, we will meet once more. And before the 5th of December, we will share the proposals with the government. So we can expect at least 4 meetings, and hopefully members will attend. The first open hearing will be about bazaars and cooked food in Lunar New Year. For that open hearing, we do not have to wait until the policy address comes out. The Secretariat can make arrangements first. And after the 11th of October, the government will be asked to explain their policy and take in questions on the new policy from members. After that, there will be at least one more open hearing for different political parties, bodies, NGOs, and individuals to offer their views on new policy. So there will be a total of 2 open hearings. After that, we will proceed to drafting the final report, and there will be another meeting before the 5th of December to offer views on the final report. If you do not agree with any parts of the meeting, we can discuss them at the final meeting. So the Secretariat will arrange 2 open hearings in October. One is on bazaars and cooked food stalls in Lunar New Year. Mr. Jeremy Tam, do you agree with such arrangement? The second open hearing will be on the new bazaar policy. In the meantime, if you have other suggestions, feel free to let us know. I will do our best. I will do my best to meet as much as possible before the 5th of December. Dr. N. Chang. Chairman, for the second open hearing, will you invite more youth organizations to give their views? I'm sure they have a lot to say about these creative bazaars, so we should invite more youth groups as such. And for art and culture bazaars, we need participation by the art and culture sector and our youth. So they are very different from the regular bazaars we talk about, but both are equally important. So for that session, we might need 4 hours instead of 2. We will have sessions for both regular market bazaars and as well as art and culture bazaars. We will try to secure as many time slots as possible, and the Secretariat will secure 4 and 2-hour time slots. The Secretariat suggested Saturdays, and it will be easier for the deputations to attend. After the meeting, we will try to share the schedule of the 4 meetings. The Secretariat asks whether we want to get on the queue. Are we going to go on the queue again? If the government has new suggestions, we have 6 subcommittees in line, and if members agree, after the final meeting, we can get on the queue again. When the policy address is out, we might want to see how the government is performing 1 or 1.5 years from now. It might be worth discussing the implementation of the so-called new bazaar policy. Dr. N. Chang.
Mr. Shu Kachan suggested this, and that is whether we should undertake overseas trips to look at bazaars. Yes, I think we can consider that. I'm a fan of or supporter of bazaars. Well, whenever I visit a city, I just go to the bazaar there. And during the summer recess, I visited several places and I visited the bazaars there. And for the subcommittee, if we are going to organize overseas trips, I think that's too onerous a workload for the Secretariat, and that might not be done. So can we leave the idea with the VHS panel? Maybe that panel can take this up. Yes, thank you. Now we have to finish all the work, including overseas trips, by the 5th of December. So that overseas trips is not possible, I think. And I agree that we should suggest to the idea to the FSEH panel so that they can undertake the trip in the next session. Yes, I agree with that idea. Now, on 1st of September, I visited Tin Sao Bazaar and I looked at the situation there. And this is an old topic, I would say, but I understand that early next year their contract will expire. But they have not yet signed the contract with the Chunghwa Group of Hospitals, and the operators said that they will support the continuous operation if Chunghwa Group of Hospitals agrees. They have expectations on the bazaars too. There will be more stores with roofs. So I am concerned about the way forward for Tin Sao Bazaar. Well, if you agree, then maybe in the next meeting we can add in an extra agenda item. We ask the Chunghwa Group of Hospitals of Tin Sao Bazaar to come and talk to us. And if we need to further look into this, we can hold another open hearing for Tin Sao Bazaar operators to come and express their views. Now, Tin Sao Bazaar is something different from the two topics that I suggested. Maybe there should be an item on the Tin Sao Bazaar whereby the revenue organizations can talk about the renewal of contract. And if you agree, we can hold another open hearing to ask the Tin Sao operators to come and express their views. I suggest that I suspect the Tin Sao Bazaar is a simpler issue. So we will have 3 items for the next meeting. All right. Any other business? If not, thank you very much. Within this week, or the clerk will let you know the proposed time slots for meetings. Well, we will have at least 2 open hearings and 2 meetings. Thank you very much.